Hey everyone, my name is Ben Gromiko. I'm from InterNACHI. That's the International Association of Certified Home Inspectors. We're doing a free live webinar, Why Code Inspectors and Contractors Should Partner with Home Inspectors. We are an ICC preferred education provider. We provide free ICC approved education for contractors, building officials, code inspectors, home inspectors, and that's all at InterNACHI, the International Association of Certified Home Inspectors. We're also live on YouTube, and we're doing a live webinar for attendees. And every webinar that InterNACHI does is recorded, so you can register and then watch later if you'd like. So thanks for coming by. We have a few things to talk about. First, let's start with some questions about home inspections, okay? Now, if you are attending this live webinar, feel free to chat. There's a chat button on your side, and there's also a Q&A feature as well. Feel free to ask questions, and attendees can also upvote good questions. And I'll try to answer all of your questions here. So I've got my chat feature here. I've got my question box here. So I'll be looking down. Feel free to ask questions or chat. I won't be able to answer the questions on YouTube. We are streaming live on YouTube if you're interested. So let's start with some questions. Then I'm going to show you how home inspectors can influence about $32 billion worth in the home maintenance and home renovation improvement industry. You're welcome, Home Depot and Lowe's. And third, we'll do a home inspection together. Okay? So this is all about why code inspectors and contractors should partner with home inspectors. If you're a contractor, we have resources for you at nachi.org/contractor, nachi.org/contractor. And it looks a little bit like this, where you have a nice contractor logo. We have the Contractors Association, the International Association of Professional Contractors. We have free online ICC, International Code Council approved CEUs. So if you're a code inspector or a contractor and you're certified by the International Code Council, don't pay for education to renew your certification. I'm a code inspector. I take my CEUs that is required to maintain my certification as a code inspector and code enforcement officer. I take it online, learn at my pace through an ICC preferred education provider, and that's InterNACHI. The InterNACHI school at internachi.edu is the only tuition-free online accredited college for inspectors, accredited by the U.S. Department of Education and a member of the National Association of Career Colleges in Canada. So you can take free online ICC exam study classes for people who want to become ICC certified, and you can take free online ICC CEU courses to help your ICC certification to get renewed. All right. So that's at nachi.org/contractor. And there's a bunch of other resources there as well. nachi.org, nachi.org. That's where we help all kinds of inspectors, home inspectors, pre-drywall inspectors, mold inspectors, radon inspectors, code inspectors, building officials, commercial building inspectors. We help all those inspectors succeed in various ways. So that's one reason why you should connect with InterNACHI, the world's largest organization of home inspectors. Where can I find a local home inspector to network with? Well, there's one place. It's a URL called nachi.org. Let's get my fancy button here. So it's NACHI, NACHI.org, or inspectorseek.com. I like the nachi.org. So you go on top and we'll open this up and I'll show you a map of the United States, of where home inspectors are. We're basically located wherever there is a house. So let's say you're near Northeast Philadelphia. Well, there's about 250 home inspectors in Philadelphia alone. There's New York, got about 500 home inspectors around New York. Long Island, DC, a few hundred there. So there's our map of an inspector. That's where you'll find a home inspector. We're basically about 35,000 inspectors in North America, and we inspect millions of homes every year. Go to NACHI.org or inspectorseek.com to find your local home inspector. Are home inspectors required to take CE, just like ICC certified professionals? Yeah, we sure are. We are required to take 24 hours of CE every year. So the International Code Council, ICC, approves InterNACHI as an ICC preferred education provider of online courses for InterNACHI members, ICC members, and ICC certified individuals. All home inspection training is actually based upon the code, the International Residential Code. So there's a huge overlap in knowledge. Our knowledge base is shared with our knowledge base as home inspectors is shared with code inspectors. We basically are training on the same stuff: the code book, building standards, best practices, manufacturer recommendations. So we do take education. And the InterNACHI School is dedicated to providing affordable, free, nothing's better than free, online education to building inspection professionals. Our school is the only tuition-free inspector college accredited by the U.S. Department of Education. We're also a member college of Canada because we believe education, just like this free live webinar, is the backbone of keeping high professional standards. So visit internachi.edu. Don't take any ICC approved courses from a .com. Their business model is to make a profit off of you. You want to go to a tuition-free accredited college with a .edu, and there's only one that I know of, and that's InterNACHI.edu. InterNACHI.edu. So here are some common questions about home inspections. What is a home inspection? Well, a home inspection is a visual-only assessment of the condition of a home. Usually, it is to find problems before a home buyer purchases the home. However, a home inspection could be used to gather information that is incredibly valuable to the person who needs that information. Typically, the home buyer, the homeowner, the seller, the investor, the renter, whoever needs that valuable information. Home inspectors essentially educate people about how a home works, how to maintain it. We find problems, ideally before they become too big to fix yourself. If you have to hire a contractor to fix the problem, you want to hire your home inspector first to give you an unbiased opinion as to the actual condition of the problem that you're experiencing in your home or building. So that if you are the occupant, the renter, talking to your landlord, or the homeowner, talking to your contractor, or the buyer, talking to the seller, you want to be able to make smart decisions. And knowledge empowers you to make those smart decisions, especially if you are a home buyer. This is a critical moment in your life when you are making the biggest financial decision ever that's going to affect the way you live for the next 30 years, typically. You want a trusted, third-party, neutral professional who can come in and educate you about the condition of the home you're about to buy, your dream home. Not every home has major problems, but some do. And we want to inspect our homes so that they are safe, functioning, and healthy. How does a home inspector get trained and certified? You have to go to an accredited college for inspectors or an organization like the wonderful International Code Council and get information, study it, take an exam, get certified. Now, just because you did something online doesn't mean you're trained and qualified to do a home inspection. That's why you want to go to InterNACHI, because we force you to do inspections. We actually require you to do 4 inspections and write 4 inspection reports according to a standard of practice. You can't even get a certificate from us without performing inspections that are reviewed and marked to meet the minimum standard. If you are in a regulated state, some states, provinces, countries regulate the home inspection professional. We can help you. InterNACHI can help you attain that license or certification or governmental recognition. But you have to get trained and certified by a third-party organization. And InterNACHI is the world's leading organization to do just that. We went over who hires home inspectors. Anybody can hire a home inspector. When do they take place? We went over that a little bit, usually for a real estate transaction, so that everyone knows the condition of the home that's being purchased or sold. But in the International Residential Code, section R109, we've got some inspections that are listed. It's the code inspection. So if we go to the 2024 International Residential Code, section R109, this is the list of inspections, the types of code inspections that take place when a home is being built. Well, you've got the foundation inspection, plumbing, mechanical, gas, electrical systems, floodplain inspection. That's probably the second one, because floodplain is where, the foundation kind of stops and you're at the floor level. You want to make sure that that floor level is above the floodplain. So it's really, they have these out of order, actually. So you want the foundation inspection, then the floodplain inspection, and then you want to build the home and install the plumbing, mechanical, gas, and electrical systems and have that inspected. But you also want to inspect the frame and the masonry as well. So this is out of place as well. So we can reorder these. There are many other inspections that the local authority having jurisdiction can call out. The local building official, not the home inspector, has authority. The home inspectors do not have authority to enforce things to be fixed. The local building official does. And the local building official also has the authority to require any other type of inspection. The next one will be fire resistance rated construction inspection, and then the final inspection. Now, just before the final inspection here, or even after the final inspection, right around here, it's a good time to get a home inspection. And right after the rough-in, right after the plumbing, mechanical, gas, electrical systems inspection, right here is a great time for a pre-drywall inspection. Those types of inspections can be listed in the code. That'd be great. But they're performed by home inspectors. That can be performed by code inspectors as well, but there's a big difference between a home inspector and a code inspector, and we'll go over those differences. But I wanted to show you that the code book actually lists the various types of code inspections. What's missing are what we do as home inspectors. We do all kinds of inspections, not just inspections of homes, mobile homes, condominiums, apartments that are being built, under construction, being renovated, but we inspect anything from brand new homes that have the final inspection and occupancy to old historic homes and everything in between. And we don't inspect for code compliance. We inspect for the condition of the home. Bit of a difference there. How many home inspections are performed every year? Millions. Why would a code inspector or contractor network with home inspectors? Well, we're going to go over the difference between a code inspection and a home inspection. They're very different, although they're very similar too, right? The knowledge base of each is exactly the same. Every home inspector is trained essentially on building code because we look at an existing home and we look for problems. Those problems are created by either time and degradation, natural wear and tear, or someone has modified something. Someone has tried to fix something in the home. A DIY project has gone bad, or it was never built very well. So home inspectors actually need to know a lot more than a code inspector. Code inspectors have a big, thick book. They have to know that. They have to be able to look into the tables. There's so many tables in a code book, right? More than a furniture store. A home inspector has to know that and a lot more. And we'll take a look at what a typical home inspection is. We're going to do a home inspection together right now. What's the purpose of a home inspection? In order to educate the person who needs that valuable information. What are home inspectors required to inspect? A lot. We'll go over the standards of practice. All home inspectors follow a standards of practice, or they should. Are home inspectors required to identify code violations? No, actually. In some states, we can't even speak code or refer to code because we know our place. Home inspectors are not code inspectors. We are not performing a code inspection. Although I'll show you as we perform an inspection, I'll show you that what we do during an inspection is basically commenting on building standards. Are home inspectors required to identify every defect, every housing problem that exists in a house? No. We are required to report in written format those big problems that we find in a home that we both observe and consider to be major problems. The little ones, the cosmetic ones, the minor ones, the stain on the carpet, that's not what we do. We're looking again for problems or small problems that may turn into something bigger. We're also looking for safety hazards. It could be an easy fix like a missing or a malfunctioning GFCI receptacle in the bathroom. Easy fix, but a major safety issue. Are home inspectors empowered to enforce code violations? No. Only the building official, the local code inspector, can enforce. A code inspector has a lot of authority, a lot of legal authority, power to make people do things in relation to building conditions. Home inspectors, we just basically give our opinion and our recommendations. We cannot force a homeowner to fix problems discovered. during a home inspection. Okay, so Tim has a question here. I understand the relevance of staying on top of building codes, but we as home inspectors, not code inspectors. So if I'm citing codes during my inspection, is there a conflict here? Yep. So as a home inspector, we do not quote code. But if you are taking courses through an accredited college like InterNACHI to become a certified trained home inspector, our training is based upon standards, building standards, practices, manufacturer recommendations, code. We refer to the International Residential Code. For example, if you go to nachi.org, go to Get Started, scroll down to our education and training, and search for pre-drywall. So this is a pre-drywall course. It's available for all members of InterNACHI, online and free. And this pre-drywall course is based upon code, the 2018 International Residential Code and the 2024 International Residential Code. There's a book called Performing Residential Building Inspections, and we use that publication, and we also refer to the 2024 International Residential Code. And we basically teach how to do a rough-in inspection for a new home or a home that's being renovated. Now, if you're doing a home inspection, right, you're basically learning the same things. For example, Tim, how do you know as a home inspector when there's a missing handrail on a certain stairway, right? Maybe is there a missing hand? Maybe there should be a handrail here. The only way a home inspector can answer that question, whether there's a handrail missing or not, which is a major safety issue, especially for some of my clients who can't walk one step without a handrail. That answer is based upon code. During my home inspection, I will not refer to that code, right? I won't refer to that specific code. I will say that I recommend a handrail to be installed. Code says when there's 4 or more risers. I'm not a code inspector. If my client needs a handrail for one step, my inspection report is her advocate for getting a handrail there. I can't force anybody to put a handrail on a one-step stairway. I'm not a code inspector. Remember, I'm just looking for problems and also educating my client. And my client, in this example, needs a handrail. She has accessibility issues. She needs a handrail for that first step. And I'm going to do everything I can in order to explain that in my inspection report so that my client, she can use that report to explain that to maybe the real estate agent, maybe the bank, maybe the seller, maybe the contractor that she hires after she moves in, or maybe the landlord, right? So we're very different professionals. However, we overlap a lot because we each have to know a lot of building code. We need to know code in order to do our inspections, especially if you're doing pre-drywall inspections as a home inspector, or if you're doing a rough-in inspection as a code inspector. Okay, good question, Tim. Second, home inspectors influence about $32 billion worth in the home maintenance, home improvement, renovation industry. On average, a home inspection report contains about $8,000 worth of home repair and improvement recommendations written by the home inspector. There are about 4 million homes inspected every year. Now, I think I passed algebra a long time ago, but if you count up all those zeros, that's 32 billion with a B. $32 billion that home inspectors influence in the home repair and improvement industry. You are welcome, Lowe's and Home Depot. You are welcome, contractors. Contractors all over the world have no idea why they're busy. They think their marketing is doing really well. Little do they know that home inspectors are making lists for millions of homeowners, lists of things to go do themselves and hire a contractor to do. It's not your marketing, contractors. It's your local home inspection network that's providing you job leads. You're welcome. Every code inspector and contractor should network with at least a dozen local home inspectors. So use NACHI.org or inspectorseek.com to find a local certified home inspector. Clients of home inspectors, we have talked to, well, let me put it this way. Every client of a contractor has already been spoken to by a homeowner, a home inspector. We're about 6 months upstream from a contractor's client. We've already talked to them. We're already the trusted professional. Contractors think that they are the trusted professional in the neighborhood. We've already spoken to all of your clients, all of them. That's why you should network with home inspectors. In the United States, we have about 147 million homes. There are 14 million of them that have signs of mice, rats, and cockroaches within the last 12 months. As a home inspector, that's not within my home inspection scope. I'm not looking for mice or rats or pests. However, I'll comment on them if I see them. If I see signs, indications of rats, mouse traps in the attic, that's a common thing. I'm going to inform my client. Because as a home inspector, not a code inspector, but as a home inspector, I get to comment on health issues. I want my client to understand what influences their safety and their health in their home. Out of the 147 million homes in the United States alone, almost 2 million have holes in the floor. 1.5 million homes have holes in the roof. This is why you need a home inspection. It's not a code inspection. It's not a code inspector. Code inspectors don't look for holes in the roof on existing homes. Out of all the homes in the United States, 10 million of them have water leaks coming out of pipes because of clogged drains, leaking pipes, or broken water heaters. 6 million homes have active roof leaks. Over 1 million homes have one toilet that's not flushing, not lushing, flushing. 700,000 homes with drain lines that were clogged for more than 6 hours. That's why every home inspection should include a sewer scope. If you're getting a home inspection, get a home inspection and add a sewer scope. The home inspector can throw a camera down the toilet and see if that toilet flushes all the way to the street without any clogs. 10 million homes have electrical problems within the last 3 months. 3.5 million homes have defective heating systems. Over 4 million homes have signs of mold growth within the home inside within the last 12 months. And it's all about age. Age is indirectly proportioned to the house problems and deficiencies. Code inspectors do not understand this because code inspectors come in when the home is being built or under construction or being renovated. According to the most modern code, everything looks great, right? For a home inspector, it's all about house problems and defects, and they're typically related to age. The older the home, typically the more problems you have. Even if the house was built to code, you've got problems. And here's an example. Let's say you have a house in Raleigh built to code. Those code inspectors came in and everything's built to code. Perfect. In 2009, that house in Raleigh is in zone 4A. It's a climate zone. Climate zones dictate how much insulation is in the attic ceiling above my head here, or in the walls, or in the floors. In 2009, it was R38 and the walls R13. And in unconditioned spaces, the floors over unconditioned spaces, like an unconditioned basement or crawl space, it's R19. That same home, just because it aged, is now having major defects. Nothing has changed of the insulation. They didn't remove the insulation. It's just that we know better. We know now that the home in the same location, built to code back then, is now deficient in insulation levels. That same home in the same location, built to today's code, would have R49 in the attic and insulation, in the attic and ceiling, and in the walls R20, and in the floors over unconditioned space R30. That's a huge difference. No one removed insulation. It was built to code. It's simply aged. That's the difference between being a home inspector and a code inspector. We deal with problems that were built to code, but because of years, time passing, it's now major defects, major deficiencies, major problems, inefficient. The energy costs in new homes are 50% more efficient. Newer homes built to modern code, fewer drafts, less temperature variation from room to room. They're more durable and they perform better. That's why a home inspector comes into a home that's existing, maybe a 20-year-old home that was built to code back then, will comment on deficiencies in relation to modern code, modern building standards, modern practices, modern building science, because we know better. Okay, that's the big difference between a code inspector who's stuck in the code. You're stuck in 2009. Home inspectors are not stuck. We can comment on anything. In fact, I recommend that every home inspector inspects the home without any regard to the age of the home. We shouldn't care. What we really care about is applying the most modern code, building standards and practices, and manufacturer recommendations to the home that we're inspecting today. A house built 15 years ago might have been built to code back then, but today it could be unsafe, drafty, inefficient, and unhealthy by today's standards. It might have fire risks, poor insulation, bad air quality, high energy bills. Just because it was legal or built to code back then doesn't mean that everything's okay now. That's why every home should be inspected no matter how old it is. Most problems and hazards are preventable, and it starts with inspecting the home or building. A healthy home provides a safe and healthy environment for you, the people you love, your friends, your family, and your pets. And we simply just don't have enough building officials. We don't have enough building code inspectors. If you are in charge or related to any type of local township building department, you need to understand how to leverage the existing workforce of trained and certified professional inspectors who are ready to be deployed in order to keep up with the demand of the buildings that you are responsible for inspecting to keep our homes being built up to modern code so that they're safe, functional, and healthy. Find an inspector using inspectorseek.com. Third, let's do a home inspection, right? Okay, let's do a home inspection together. Let's inspect this home. And along the way, you'll learn what a home inspection is and what it isn't, and how a home inspector uses code to conduct inspections and write inspection reports. A home inspection is not a code inspection. We've gone over this many times, just like Tim says here. Tim is not confused. He's been doing this for 20 years. He tells his clients the difference between the two. Home inspectors are not code inspectors. We have a standards of practice. It's called the Home Inspection Standards of Practice, and InterNACHI has published the InterNACHI Home Inspection Standards of Practice at nachi.org/SOP. You can go there. nachi.org/SOP describes what a home inspection is, what it isn't, what a home inspector is required to inspect, what a home inspector isn't required to inspect. The standards of practice, public document. Let's go to the roof. And this is what it looks like. This is what we are required to inspect. So let's do that. Let's inspect the roof in this house according to the standards of practice. According to the standards of practice of InterNACHI, I'm not required to walk upon a roof. Sure is a great way to inspect a roof, but you can inspect it in various other ways. From the ground, from the eaves, from the gutter edge, from another vantage point, using a drone, using a stick. Some inspectors, like me, get up on the roof. And we like to get up on the roof and look at every component of the roof covering. I can't see every fastening. I can't see the underlayment. I can't see every piece of the flashing. I'm really looking right now at the roof covering on every plane, on every surface. I'm not walking everywhere. I'm being safe. I'm taking a look at the important things. And if I needed to learn more about how to inspect a roof, I'll take accredited online courses or hands-on classes provided by InterNACHI. Again, internachi.edu is the only accredited inspector college. And certified professional inspectors, CPI, are required to complete a lot of education every year. And according to the standards of practice, I'm required to inspect the roof covering materials. Roof covering, not the roof system. A system is all the parts that make up the system. I can only see, this is a visual only inspection, right? So I'm looking at the roof covering materials. That's why the standards say roof covering materials. So I'm going to look at the roof covering materials. There's my hand on the roof covering materials. It's a laminated shingle, right? It's relatively young. Same age as the house, hasn't been replaced. It's one layer. I'm looking for holes. Remember, 10 million homes in the United States right now have holes in the roof. This is why you need your home inspected, right? There are 10 million homeowners, and I bet most of them, if not all of them, don't even know that they have a hole in the roof, right? Don't even know that there's an active roof leak causing water intrusion problems, mold, indoor air quality issues. So you want to take a look at this. This is one of the major systems of a home. Man, if you think your roof is bad, don't call a roofer. I don't want to beat up the contractor. I'm not here to beat up contractors. It's just that our business models are very different. Contractors have a for-profit business model. If you pull up if you're a contractor and you pull up in someone's driveway and your pickup is filled with toilets, right? You're in the business of selling toilets. If you're pull up in a van filled with insulation, your business model is to sell insulation. If you're a roofer, your business model is to install roofs, right? Our business model as a home inspector, we have a code of ethics. When's the last time you heard a roofer with a code of ethics? We have a code of ethics that prevent us from doing any work on any home that we inspect. We're there to sell information. We're there to educate only. We're not going to try to sell you a new roof. If I think this roof is in good shape, that's because I think it's in good shape, right? And the way I speak and write my report, I'm assuming that a contractor is going to take a look at it. So I have to get my terminology just right. That's why we home inspectors use the word roof covering in our inspection reports, which is consistent with the International Residential Code definitions. So there's a great chapter, chapter 2 in the code, the International Residential Code, is the definitions chapter. And that's where all home inspectors trained by InterNACHI go to, essentially. We use those same terms. See, there's a lot of overlap between contractors and code inspectors and building officials and home inspectors. We're talking the same language. And according to the standards of practice, my report shall identify defects within the systems and components that I inspect that are defined by these standards that I both observe and deem to be material. This is these material defects are things that will make the house not perform as intended, make the house unsafe, not functioning, things like that. It's similar to code violations. The defects that I find could be code violations, but I'm not identifying them as such. And the difference is entropy. Look it up. It's really cool. Home inspectors deal with entropy. Code inspectors deal with code violations. Home inspectors deal with entropy, which is the natural tendency of things to move toward disorder over time. Remember, age creates problems in a home. For home inspectors, identifying defects is essentially observing the effects of entropy because materials degrade. House systems fail all by themselves. Components just wear out, all pointing to the inevitable decline without regular maintenance and repair. That's why you need a home inspection as part of a routine maintenance plan. We can go in, find little problems when they're small, tell you how to fix them before they become too big to fix yourself. Code is all about prescriptive. This is how you should build this house. This is how you should renovate this system. Home inspections is all about, is it safe? Is it functioning? Is it healthy? Do you see any problems? Is it worn out? Is it leaking? Did it break down? Did it fail? Did it develop a leak? Very different, but similar. The next thing in the standards of practice that I have to inspect are the gutters. So roof covering materials, now gutters. And I take a look at the gutters from different vantage points from the roof. And at this gutter, I see a defect. It's listed in the code, kind of. Do you see what the defect is? I'm going to put this in my home inspection report every single time. It's flashing. And we can refer to InterNACHI, how we describe it. We call it a kickout flashing. We can also go to the code, section R903.2.1, locations. There's a missing kickout flashing right here. It's a piece of bent metal that kicks out the water that's running down this roof at this critical intersection between the roof surface and the wall. There's either step flashing or continuous flashing. That's permitted by some areas. But right here is the critical part. There's typically a hole here. There's usually a hole created by this J channel and contractor. They squish silicone in there, which is only a temporary band-aid. What they need is this siding. This could be wood. This could be vinyl. This could be stucco, especially stucco eaves. So right here is a code violation, but I'm not going to identify it, right, Tim, as a code violation. We're just going to say missing kickout flashing right here. This flashing is supposed to kick out the water into the gutter. Right now we have water stains. Water is dripping down. It could be dripping behind the siding. And maybe there's a whether a barrier there, water resistant barrier. This side of the gutter looks good. It's actually overhanging a lot, like 6 inches, but this side is not. Downspouts. I take a look at the downspouts. We want those downspouts diverting water far away from the house, and we also want this ground to be sloped. How much of a slope do home inspectors know? We know code. We want that slope to be 6 inches down in the first 10 feet. And that is a direct quote from code, right? We want those downspouts to be diverting water far away. And do you see the problem here? I would put this in my report. In fact, I did. I did this home inspection, and I identified this as an improvement that could be made. It's not a major defect. No one's going to get hurt. It's just ideally we want water to be discharging away from the house, and this end of the downspout, this termination, is about a foot or two above the tray. It's going to just splash all over the place. Ideally, I think the ground may have settled, right, over the years, and no one has fixed it. No one has filled in with clean fill or anything. No one has extended this downspout to down here. So these two need to be closer to each other just to perform better. We want to control the water. It's about water management. Water is a great thing. It's a creator of life, but it destroys houses. Water management is really important. Like here's an area to improve how we manage water. Potential water intrusion between dissimilar building materials, the masonry and the vinyl expand and contract, and they open up. Ideally, there would be some sealant here, maybe some flashing, something like that, but this could be sealed up very easily. It's a good way to keep the bugs out, but also the water. It's ugly, but it's functional, right? It's eroding away some of the dirt here, but that's a functional pipe. It's a little ugly. I don't care that it's ugly. All I care about is that it's working or not. And to better communicate things like this, how do you get downspout water away from the house? We can go to InterNACHI's gallery. There are illustrations in the code, especially the commentary code, but InterNACHI has an online public gallery of illustrations that help explain what inspectors see and try to explain that to our clients. And so here we have in Spanish, rain hitting that roof that we just inspected according to the home inspection standards of practice. And we need little areas here to kick this rainwater off of the building. Little pieces of flashing, little drip edge at the eaves and the soffit, right? Over here, there's a window. We need to kick that water away from the window and the bottom of the window. If we have a deck railing, we need some flashing here. We want to divert water, kick water away from this area. The ledger board, all the light, the door, the front of the bottom of the door, the top of the foundation. And if it gets underneath in the ground, we want that water to go into the drain pipe with the gravel and discharge to grade, right? And we want the slope of the ground away from the house. We want to manage and control and divert water away from the house. Don't want it to get inside. This is a great illustration that easily communicates. What do they say? A picture's worth 1,000 words. Well, this has to be worth at least 300. because code is very difficult to communicate to people. Building standards, right? Because code has all these figures, and it's difficult to communicate what we see as code inspectors into simple, plain language. Okay, so same downspout, ugly diverter pipe. It's clamped. That's really nice. I like that. It's not going to fall away. It's not, relying on a diverter tray, but I'm not looking at that. Look what I'm looking at. Do you see what I see? Do you see what I see? Right? Paul says, I walk simple, not too steep roofs, but in my market, I inspect $1 million homes plus with complicated roof lines and many planes. Oftentimes I cannot walk a lot on the roof. My drone can see and zoom incredible detail. I rely for most of all on my roof now. A high quality drone with a good camera is essential. I love drones. About 10 years ago, they were really bulky and expensive and they didn't shoot 4K. Now they do. So they're fantastic. They're very good. It's a good way to inspect a roof, right? I love touching everything that I inspect, but if I can't, I love a good 4K image or video. And then I'll play that video for my clients so that they can see what I see. Well, anyways, do you see what I see? I see the crack. I understand all this. I understand what that is. I get the vinyl. I get the clearance. I get the vegetation and the vines coming up. But this is what I'm interested in. Crack. It's not a major one. It's kind of common. It's on the corner. But what I want to do is I want to keep that in my head and I want to go into the crawl space or basement and see if I can coordinate that with my observations on the inside, from the outside to the inside. Does it have anything to do with code? No, maybe. I don't think so. Has to do everything with the age of the home. Our homes just age. And basically, we don't build homes very well in the United States or Canada. So that crack is really interesting to me. I don't want it to develop into something that's major. I don't want it to be an indication of major settlement. It might be. I doubt it in this situation, but I want to be able to observe everything. I can't see everything. There could be more cracks. There could be a ton of, there could be a hole. There could be a 3-foot diameter hole, right? I wouldn't be able to see it. Remember, my report will contain the problems that I both observe and deem to be material or major. If I don't see it, I can't report upon it. So that's why you want to remove the vegetation. Dense vegetation up against a house is no good for several reasons. You want to control moisture, you want to control pests, and you want to be able to see your home. You want your inspector to come by every once in a while, routine, regular inspections of your home's structure. You got to clean this all up. I see the downspout. That's good. You got to inspect the vents. Ridge vent here. Yep, that's my hand. There's a ridge vent. That's on the top. Soffit vents on the side. Oh, here's another vent. This is probably a bathroom exhaust, right? If it's a dryer, I don't want to see screens. It has to be full open termination. So there's the louvered vents. I think there's another bathroom, right? The bathroom. So I'll go up in the attic. I want to inspect the soffit vents because there are soffit vents here. Those are open. Those are open. They can't be blocked by insulation. So I want to see trays, but I really don't see some daylight coming through. But like, ideally you get trays, like styrofoam, cardboard, something to keep the insulation from blocking the air vents. You don't want insulation blocking this. You want the air to go up through the soffit and right up through the ridge vent, like that. Flashing, I take a look at flashing. Here's step flashing. There's a little piece of flashing there and a piece of flashing there. I can't see any, everything. I'll try to pry up the shingles without tearing them, but trying to see the flash, I can't see. I really can't see. That's why it's really good to get an inspection, not a building inspection. They just don't have enough. We don't have enough building inspectors. Every home under construction should be inspected in this great detail. Imagine if I was deployed by the local building department to inspect a home that's being built. And I could look at every piece of flashing and how this siding, there's a gap there. We don't like that gap, right? And kick out, we need a kick out flashing here. It's a little late now, right? Well, it's never too late to fix something, but it could have been easily installed. Kick out flashing could have been installed right here during construction, right? Here's another flashing, missing flashing right here. Right there, missing kickout flashing, just like this missing kickout flashing. As a home inspector, I'm required to inspect skylights. We don't have any skylights here. Chimneys, we got some chimneys, not masonry chimneys, and not all of them are gas fireplace chimneys. So we have to figure out, what are these? What kind of chimney vents are these? That one looks different from that one. Shorter, is that okay? Yeah. The collar, see, I'm wearing a collar, same thing. Like around a pipe, every pipe has a collar like this. See this? And you don't want this open. You don't want your collar around your pipe to be open and split open, right? Because you know, your food drops down there, right? But for a pipe coming through a roof, it's all about water. You want a collar just like an umbrella. You want things to divert water away and shed and go that way, away and down, around and down. This is around, drips down, around, drips down, around and down and away. If you don't have like a nice kickout flashing, you want at least some sealant here. And hopefully this flashing curled up so that this is a piece of flashing. The siding is acting like a diverter, flashing, layered flashing. And you've got some J channel here. Sometimes this is all a little bit confusing. The manufacturer doesn't really have good illustrations on how this component of the fireplace, air comes in this way and hot gases from the fireplace comes out that way. Sometimes the manufacturer doesn't recommend very well how this is supposed to interact with the siding, especially if it's vinyl siding. Those two contractors don't communicate for some dumb reason. These two contractors need to talk to each other. Maybe the building inspector could be the mediator, right? So we need somebody to explain how this is water resistant, waterproof. There's the fireplace. So it doesn't go up through a chimney like we saw. It's a direct vent. Air from outside goes into the fireplace, gets heated up. You could circulate some air. Some have blower fans, and then the exhaust gases go outside. That's why this says hot here, hot top. And we've got a couple heating systems, gas fired. I see the gas lines, gas line, furnaces, forced air. I see ductwork and air filters and air conditioner units, one humidifier. And they have exhaust gases that need to go outside. And typically the exhaust gas, if it's metal, will be vertical and it goes out like a chimney, right? If it's plastic, it could be horizontal. It can look like this. This is a sewer line. If this was a high efficiency furnace, the exhaust gases would be plastic, PVC like this, but it's not, right? So this is a fuel gas vent termination pipe. Termination and a pipe. And we have an ICC approved free online how to inspect fireplaces, stoves, and chimneys course. You can get ICC approved CEUs for your entire building department. Free and online, asynchronous through the only accredited college for home inspectors. That's InterNACHI.edu. Or go to our education page like I showed you earlier. Sorry, I'm dealing with a cold. I got this. The next thing we inspect are roof penetrations, and we saw a little bit of that. Anything that goes through the roof covering materials, that's what I want to focus on. I can't reach with my hand to everything. That would be really dangerous if I tried to go down there without safety equipment. So I'm just going to take a look. I want to see that collar nice and tight. Don't want it to be opened up or ripped or torn, which is what happens over time. Remember, time is what home inspectors deal with. Modern code being enforced is what code inspectors deal with. Home inspectors deal with that as well. We want the modern building practices, modern standards to be applied to any home. So all of this looks great. And we describe that the shingles, asphalt shingles, and we report any observations of major problems. We don't see any here from the roof covering. The exterior is next. There are a few systems. There could be as many as 12, depending on how you count. 7, 8, maybe 12, depending on how you count the systems in a home, right? Count by systems or rooms. But if you wanted to learn how to inspect the exterior according to the standards of practice, and you wanted to get ICC approved CEUs, go to our education page. We are a huge ICC approved preferred education provider with free online ICC approved education courses. That's all about code and inspecting buildings. Here's what I have to inspect. When it comes to the exterior, it's a lot. Well, you think this is a lot, you should see the electrical system. It's a huge list. We start with the wall covering materials. We got brick, and we use wall covering because that's what code says. In chapter 2, the definitions, my favorite chapter. One of my favorite chapters. It says exterior covering. We don't say exterior wall covering. We don't say like siding or cladding. Exterior wall covering. And it's exterior wall covering even above the roof, right? This is part of the wall covering, and it's vinyl. So we got brick and vinyl. Got some stucco, some masonry coating there. Got some coating there. We want clearance in between the hard surfaces and the grading and the siding. So the vinyl siding is there. It's not wooden siding. We got some trim boards around the windows and the doors. Missing kick out again. It's dripping. We want to take a look at this window, see if it's wet, see if there's water coming down and staining. We want dense vegetation away from the siding. This isn't going to rot, but we're not managing water very well. We don't want anything wet up against the house. We don't want pests to go from the dense vegetation into the house. A few reasons why you want to trim back tree branches from your house, right? Getting a little close there. Right? We're in contact. The tree is in contact with the house. I know it's vinyl siding. It's not going to crack, maybe scratch, but we just want to, have a nice little space. And I can't see what's behind these dense bushes. So we want to be able to see things as well by removing the dense vegetation, especially if it's causing water problems, right? So the brick looks in good shape, really good shape, nice. There's that little gap that we could seal here for sure. But I'm taking, probably 20 pictures on the roof, another 20 on the outside, maybe 30 on the outside. Overall, hundreds of pictures for every inspection. Hundreds of pictures for every inspection. I inspect everything. And when I'm inspecting this, I see this is a door. This is a door. It's a French door, right? It opens up, but there's no step. I mean, there could be a step. The ledger board is here, but if somebody opens the door in the dining room, I can see this is the dining room, they're going to fall out, right? So I'm going to tell them about this can be a door. And if it's a door, you're going to have a trip hazard here, right? Careful. I'm not an alarmist. I'm just looking at, the bottom of this wood is probably not painted or treated, right? So I'm going to look for soft wood here over time. Even though this is built to code and everything's great, over time, things rot. So you want to take a look. You want to see clearance. Looks like the dirt around the house settled about 4 inches, right? You could see where the parging was put to make the exposed foundation look nice, but the ground settled, right? There's the parging. There's the extra parging. There's the parging there. Maybe, or maybe this is reinforced concrete with parging on top. Not sure yet. Have to get closer. There's the bituminous coating, right? And hopefully, I can't see it, but maybe there's drainage tile, drainage pipe, washed gravel, maybe some filter fabric. Maybe there's a drainage plane here with filter fabric on it, some hard plastic dimpled so that water drains down. We want to control moisture. So here's siding. It's diverting water, kicking water away, but sometimes it doesn't kick it off. The drip isn't, dripping down past the foundation, and this gets wet. If this gets wet through capillary action, water moves. Water moves from hot to cold, water moves from wet to dry. So if this is wet and above it is dry, or to the side of it's dry, it's going to move through capillary action. If there's efflorescence, that's salt deposits, that's osmosis. When you see efflorescence, that could be an indication of what could come up next, which is spalling. Because the pressure, the water pressure, the literal water pressure inside that masonry is going to exceed the strength of the concrete. It's all about water management, and it starts with wet areas, rain. I don't care if you're in Arizona. You're going to always think about water around the house. So this is wet soil up against masonry that's porous through capillary action. Masonry, concrete, stone, masonry has like little straws in it, microscopic straws, always sucking up water wherever it's dry. And it's dry behind this wall here for sure. When it gets behind this wall, the masonry stops. But somehow wood begins. So this is a wood framed house, and that wood is resting on wet masonry. We're always trying to think about building science, and a house has a system of parts where one part, especially if it's wet, is going to affect other parts. So there's a lot here, and it's all based on code. What is below the surface? Only the code official saw it. Long time ago when this house was built. Hopefully there's a foundation drainage system installed with gravel, pipes. I can see the bituminous coating. I can see the parging. This is a poured concrete foundation wall. Maybe there's parging or something on top of that. I can see that the fill has settled. It could be creating puddles. We don't want puddles up against the foundation for water intrusion. The slope of the ground needs to be sloped away. How much? 6 inches, first 10 feet. That's code. How much of a clearance between the ground and the siding? Minimum 6, 8 inches. There should be parging here on the exposed foundation. The flashing should have an end point, and it should be dripping away from the foundation wall. And the siding should be installed according to manufacturer's recommendations to divert water away from the house. It has to be water resistant, weather proof, waterproof. Get water out of here. If it goes behind the siding, it has to drain. Nothing's guaranteed. So there's a drainage plane behind the siding, and that's all building code. There's so much building code here. But guess what? When we get to this point at a 10-year-old home that's having some problems with moisture in the basement, the building code official is long gone. You can't even hire a building code official from the township to come out and inspect your house. That's not what they do. You're going to call a contractor that has a business model, a for-profit business model? What you should do is you should get your home inspected by your local home inspector, trained and certified with knowledge of code and building standards and building practices. And their whole goal in life as a home inspector is to educate homeowners about the condition of their home, able to take pieces and put them all together and make a story out of it so that you fully understand. Like in this area, we can just talk about this for a whole half hour about water management and building standards. Yeah, that's just one picture out of about 400 pictures that I took of this home inspection. That's how valuable home inspectors are. That's how much home inspectors have to know. Here's vinyl siding. Looks like the grill got too close and warped it a little bit. That's all right. It's cosmetic. It still functions. It just doesn't look good. And these areas here, where this untreated piece of wood here, just painted on the outside, has an open gap between this J channel of the vinyl siding and this door sill. This is a French door sill, right? I had to take a look at little corners like this tread here of the front door, the bottom of this wood, where this weather stripping is, where this nose is, looking at the garage door, where wood is in contact with or close proximity to masonry or the ground or an impervious surface on the outside, where water can come down, splash, and then through capillary action, water can wick. Think about a tree. You know, that's how the leaves are green at the top of the tree through capillary action. Water can be transferred about 400 feet up vertically. In block, concrete, masonry, stone, it could go 6 miles through capillary action. So capillary action is serious. It's the root cause of rot in this area here. Wooden components in contact with masonry that gets wet. And here we are. This is the first indication of a problem. The wood is wet. The paint has peeled off, and it's only going to get worse. I'm not an alarmist, but I'm just into house maintenance. This is not going to last 10 years, right? So we can scrape it and paint it now. We can maybe even replace the whole thing with something that's not made out of wood, that doesn't wick water, that never rots, that doesn't need painted. They have those building materials. That's when you call a contractor, because you are fully educated about what you want and how it performs well in your home, because your home inspector educated you. According to the standards of practice, that was just the exterior wall coverings. Well, let's speed up a little bit, okay? Because we have the standards, we got all these things. Let's speed up the process a little bit, okay? Because we've been talking for over an hour now. Let's get through this home inspection. This is just the exterior. A typical home inspection takes about 2 to 3 hours to inspect a house this size. And we're just on the exterior. Got to do the exterior doors. There's a trip hazard here. Remember, there's a French door in the dining room. The other French door, right? Is 2 on this side, 2 on this side. And this is a big step. We don't want people to fall out, right? So that's a potential hazard there. That door gets unlocked and used. Someone who runs out of the dining room. Don't want any trip hazards at the sidewalk. Don't want any trip hazards at the patio. And we want that patio just sloped a little bit, just like 2% slope, just enough to get that water away from the house. We want all this to be sealed. We don't want the driveway to divert water into the garage. We want it to be out of the garage. Get this out of here. We don't want water puddles. No big deal. No one's going to trip. It's probably going to evaporate within 24 hours, but still, I just want my client to know there's a puddle there. Ideally, this would be diverting water away. So just keep an eye on that, because this is probably going to be the first place where there'll be cracking. So maybe seal coating or just future monitoring. Stairs, steps, stoops, stairways, ramps, porches, patios, decks, balconies, carports, railings, guards, and handrails. taking a look at anything like this corner here. Don't want it to be loose. Sometimes I'll use my knuckles to see if the stone application has lost its adherence to the base, the concrete. Again, as you can see, I'm just trying to take a picture of just about everything and anything. Can't see what's behind there. We already talked about that. A lot of dense vegetation all around. We want that water to be ground to be sloping away. Slope that ground away. Slope that ground away. There's the additional exterior components, hose bibs that need to be frost proof. I inspect fences out of courtesy. It's not a big deal. Unless it's a pool, then it's a safety issue. And all exterior receptacles have to be GFCI protected. Watch out for the bees. And this is the dryer vent. I've been looking for it, found it under the dense vegetation. Looks like it's clean. Don't stick your hand in there. But it needs to be fully open to get all that exhaust out. All mechanical exhaust, like dryers, kitchens, bathrooms, they need to exhaust outside, not into the attic. Basement foundation, crawl space, and structure is next. Henry says, do all houses need gutters in California? I like it. I like gutters. Code is somewhat quiet about the requirements of gutters. It's a very strange way they have worded the requirement for gutters in the building code, in the residential building code, the IRC. So it's kind of funny. I can help you with that. But if you're wondering, as a home inspector, I always recommend controlling water, managing water, getting that roof water away from the house. That only happens in one way. You collect it. And the best way to collect roof water that's dripping off the edge of the roof is in a gutter. Something. On my house, I have gutters that are typical common gutters that you find on most homes, and also a manufactured one, a customized one. It's a gutter box. It's basically a metal box. So anything that collects water. Now you've collected the water at the gutter. Now you've got to get it out of here, away from the house. You got to bring it down to the ground and discharge it. Those are downspouts. And the discharge is the downspout that's bent and diverted away. You can divert it on the ground surface or underground through underground drainage pipes. So without a gutter, how are you supposed to collect any of that water? Without a gutter, how are you supposed to manage water around your house? The roof collects hundreds of gallons of water. And if you're in California, in the rainy area, that hundreds of gallons of water. So water management, it's really important. Doesn't matter where you are. You're always managing water of some form. So if you're in a dry climate, I'm in a dry climate, then you have to deal with humidity, I bet. Maybe you're in a totally dry climate, very dry. Well, then there's water vapor. Indoor humidity has to go somewhere, has to be controlled, right? So you're dealing with water in various forms, frozen, bulk, or vapor in various forms, one way or another, in every climate zone. According to the standards of practice, I have to inspect the foundation, basement, crawl space, and structural components. In this house, the basement is finished. I can't see everything. Drop ceiling tiles, the walls are covered up, the floor is covered up. The exposed foundation wall is great, but the insulation is an inspection restriction, and all these other things are inspection restrictions. Code inspectors never deal with furniture. Code inspectors do not deal with furniture, right? They're dealing with homes that are being built. I got to deal with stuff. People's stuff is in the way. So I'm barely able to see what is going on. I don't see the cracks on the foundation wall if they're there. All I can see is what I see, like here. Oh, this is an exposed poured concrete foundation wall. Great. I don't know what is under the carpeting. It's not my problem to move. I'm not going to move furniture. I'm not going to move insulation either. It's going to do my very best to look around, trying to maybe move some ceiling tiles. I'm not going to move a couch. Trying to get into the corner there to see if there are indications of watermarks. If there's a watermark here, I'm going to look for that watermark. I know what to look for. Other systems. I'm seeing other systems while I'm looking around, right? I see electrical lines, plumbing lines, so water supply, drain. We may have had a leak in the past somewhere around here. Looks like water stains on the foundation wall, water marks around this pipe coming up. I bet this is a sink. This looks like a drainage pipe for a sink. It's on an exterior wall. I bet we've got hot and cold water coming up. We had a leak in the kitchen sink. We can ask the seller to explain what that was. Was that a big leak, a small leak? Was who fixed it? When was that? Foundation cracks, poured concrete needs to cure and dry. You mix concrete with water, that water goes somewhere. It evaporates. It activates the curing process, but it also, as it evaporates, the concrete can shrink and crack. There are two types of concrete that has cracked and concrete that will crack, right? So what I'm looking for as a home inspector is major problems, big open gaps, displacement, uneven surfaces, movement and openings, and water penetration. That's what I'm looking for. Most cracks are shrinkage cracks, typically found common, not a major structural concern. They are closed at the bottom, where they are tied essentially at the bottom, and they're open at the top. Just don't want to see water penetration coming through. There are several shrinkage cracks in this basement foundation, poured concrete foundation. No problems. Let's say that there's water that comes through a shrinkage crack. Just get an epoxy ejection. The strength of the epoxy is stronger than the concrete. Looks like there was during the construction process or something, some water that came in before the occupants moved in. There may have been something on the floor that created a stain. It's no longer there. I don't know what this mud mark means. It's certainly not on the wall. It's probably just during construction. Often builders will not just refuse to clean up the mud. They'll just leave it there for the homeowner to have. Not sure why. I guess they're just into it. Like they built the thing, mud came through where the sewer pipe went through the foundation wall, dumped a lot of mud on the floor. It drained and evaporated away, gone, right? That's a moisture meter on an extension pipe. It's basically not telling me numbers. I don't care what the numbers are. I just want to know, is it wet? I'm not taking any humidity levels, relative humidity levels. I'm not taking any moisture meetings with a probe. Just wanting to hear, is this going to give me an audible signal that this is wet? And I've got two pins at the bottom of this stick, and it's probing through the carpet and through the padding and touching the concrete floor. If that's wet, then we have a problem. I can't see everything, but I'm going to move this probe around to as many places as possible. I can't move the insulation everywhere, but where I look, I can use a 3-tine hoe. It's a gardening tool on an extension pipe. I heat it up 1 tine. It's straight, so I can poke around and move things. And you want to get your home inspected before the insulation is installed, and that's called a pre-drywall inspection. If you're building a home, get it inspected. It's called a rough-in inspection from the code inspection point of view, but we just don't have enough code inspectors. We have a ton of home inspectors who can do a code inspection, a rough-in inspection for you, a pre-drywall inspection. And basically, the inspection tools and equipment for home inspections, it's just a handful. There's a flashlight, GFCI tester, gas leak detector, some personal protection equipment, a ladder, moisture meter, maybe infrared. So or a gardening tool like that, right? Or a moisture meter like that. In the report, I'm going to make recommendations to fix things such as wood in contact with or near soil, active water penetration. I look at foundational cracks like this. This is prior indications of a prior water penetration into the basement. I don't think it's an active thing. I say that because these are cardboard boxes. If the occupant thought that this basement floods a lot, they wouldn't put cardboard down. They wouldn't put anything down on the floor. And if the cardboard was there, the cardboard would be damaged. Just one flood of the basement, all of these cardboard boxes and this doll would have indications of a water problem. And we don't have that. So it's kind of like being a detective, trying to figure out what is happening and when did it happen. Heating section. I can learn how to inspect heating systems by going to nachi.org/education, right? There's the thermostat, 2 thermostats, 3 thermostats. So I have 2 systems. I must have 1 system with 2 zones. And there they are, dampers in the ductwork. So it's zoned. This is very dirty. Some of my clients are sensitive to indoor air quality issues. I'm going to put that in the report. There's a shut-off switch for each. There's a free gas furnace inspection checklist if you're interested at that URL. And according to the standards of practice, I have to inspect the heating system. It's basically turning it on. There's the fuel source, exterior tank. That's the propane tank. There's the valve, pressure regulator. It's forced air, has an air filter, high efficiency air filter for each furnace. There's the furnace system there. I'm looking at these marks here and these marks here. Got some marks here and some marks there. There's the air conditioner unit. You can see some of these marks there. It could be water. Sometimes these air conditioner units will leak a little bit, or there's an open gap and that cool air hits the warm basement air and produces condensate. There's the drainage pipe for the condensate. Every air conditioner system like this produces condensate water and needs to drain away. Ideally, you would want to control that moisture, the gallons of water during the hot, humid summertime. Gallons of water will be produced. Naturally, condensate is created by air conditioners. We need to control that water. Just like having gutters and downspouts, we want to divert that water away from the house. This builder put a hole in the floor and drains the water, gallons of water, underneath the house. No, that's not what we do. We capture that water and discharge it outside, far away from the house, not under the house, far away from the house. There's the drainage pipe again for the other air conditioner unit and the same method. We don't want to drain water under our houses because sometimes this drainage system, it's not designed to do this. It's not a drainage system. It's to stop a high water table from flooding the basement. There's some gravel underneath this concrete floor. Maybe it's 3 inches, 4 inches, 6 inches. Maybe there's a vapor barrier, retarder, maybe not. Maybe there's a slope. Maybe there's a drainage system. Maybe there's a sump pump system. Maybe there's interior foundation drainage. But who knows? But the HVAC guy just drilled a hole. Let's stick all that water underneath our house. And it doesn't work because it has clogged up and backed up. That's why these watermarks are here. And that's why you see efflorescence. Efflorescence is an indication of concrete masonry being wet and wicking up through osmosis salt deposits. So it's been going on for some time. You want to grab water, control it, and either filter it or dissipate it or exchange it. Or if it's bulk water, that's what we deal with as home inspectors. We want that roof water, that groundwater, that air conditioner condensate collected and discharged far away from the house. So there's the heating system. I'll take a look. I'll turn this on. But what is this? White deposits on the exhaust pipe of the gas-fired furnace. Well, we saw white deposits on the concrete floor by the air conditioner condensate pipe. That's not efflorescence. There, right? They're not the same thing. This isn't efflorescence here. That was. This is something different, right? What is this? See that? And that? And that? On that pipe? And that? Looks like water. Well, that's why you want to network with a bunch of home inspectors. So we have certified master inspector, Kenton Shepard, posting on the InterNACHI forum, is our online community forum of home inspectors. What is that white powder on furnaces, vents, and roof vents? Well, it turns out to be a little powdery residue called zinc oxide, right? So that's an indication of a problem, right? And Kenton describes what that problem is on the forum. So we all get to learn what that problem is. And you can go online and network with other inspectors who find these problems. Code inspectors don't find these problems. Code inspectors look at furnaces that probably have never been turned on. Never been turned on. And they look great right out of the box, all put together. Sometimes they're not working because a code inspection is all about timing. Sometimes the timing is a little bit off. And the electrical connection to the furnace for that brand new home just wasn't connected on the day of the inspection. But the code inspector is so overwhelmed, they're going to pass it anyways because it's straight out of the box. It looks great. It was installed by a master contractor, right? Home inspectors doing home inspections, very different. We inspect homes that have been running for a while, and we get these things, these defects. What are these defects? We have to figure that out. So we need an HVAC contractor to come and do a little diagnostic test on the draft of these furnaces. What is this problem? Is this efflorescence? Let's see green now. Now, first it's efflorescence on the floor because of the condensate being drained under our house. Next one was zinc oxide and condensate water being formed on the flue pipes of the furnaces. Now we have green stains from water on the jacket of the furnace, right underneath the air conditioner unit. And it's wet. Why is there water on my fingers? This is not a code inspection. This furnace was installed to code. Let me say that again. This furnace was installed according to modern building code. What do you think about it now? It's got problems. Nothing that the building official could see. Not blaming the building official. Maybe the contractor. Maybe the homeowner not paying attention. But it's up to someone else to come in. The heating person, they should have been there every year looking at the condition of this heating and cooling system. The HVAC guy, I'd fire him. Something is wrong, but it was built to code. Who can help? in this situation. There's only one professional on planet Earth who can put all this together and help this person with a non-functioning, unsafe, unhealthy, non-performing heating system and cooling system. That's an InterNACHI certified home inspector. You need every furnace to be inspected by a home inspector, not by the HVAC contractor, not by the code inspector. They're missing all this stuff. They don't know what's going on. Look, they've been here. The HVAC guy was here. This is rust. Years in development. There's rust all over the place. Rust, rust, rust. Corrosion. You know how long it takes for things to be corroded? It's not one day. That's why you need a home inspector. We'll take a look at every part, make sure everything is working. If it isn't, we're going to document it with pictures and explain why, what is going on, so you can be educated and empowered and make smart decisions. Don't just hire a contractor. Don't just blame your code inspector. It was built to code back then. But because of entropy, because of age, we have a water well tank. So this isn't public water. This is a well. This is a private well. Here's the well casing on the outside. Water comes in through a pressure gauge, through a shutoff valve, through a filter, through a pressure tank. There's electric to the pump. There's a little filter there. It doesn't leak. You can be a certified water quality tester through InterNACHI and test people's water quality and private well systems. Water heating equipment. So if you're a code inspector, I bet you know the 14 requirements for this discharge pipe. This is a TPR, and this is a discharge pipe attached to the TPR. And by code, there are 14 things required just for that pipe. That little thing. Home inspectors are trained to inspect these things. But we're trained to see what happens because they're built to code. Just because they're built to code doesn't mean they're safe or functioning. Cold water coming in, gas valve, TPR discharge, vent pipe, going outside. They dropped the tank. So bringing it down the stairs, boom, we're off the truck. Boom, they dropped the tank. I guess it didn't crack. That's good. But they bent the leg and they put metal shims underneath. That's why we take a look at the base of every hot water equipment, especially a tank. We don't want any damage. They damaged the legs on this one. I would have, if I was the homeowner, I would have asked for a new tank. I don't want this. This was dropped off the truck. But they installed it anyways. And it passed code. So home inspectors inspect using code to conduct better inspections, including the 14 requirements for the discharge pipe on a TPR valve on your hot water tank. And that's in 2024 International Residential Code, section P 2804.6.1. And InterNACHI has a course on how to inspect TPR valve discharge pipes. We need to inspect all these things. There's a lot. There's a lot to inspect in a house when you're a home inspector. Looking for plumbing leaks, making sure the toilet's flush, making sure the tub is filled up, the shower head is functional, the kitchen sink. So we'll inspect every fixture. We'll run hot and cold water at every fixture, 2 or 3 of them all at the same time. And we'll check out the drainage system. And when you do a oscilloscope, you'll pull this out. Make sure your pipes aren't clogged. This is going into a septic system, right? So we'll only go to the tank, and then we'll pop the lid on the tank, or you can get a septic company to do that. But you should know the components of your septic system. There's the drainage pipes. there was a fix here. I think they added this fixture, or they had a problem with this fixture. Do you remember the watermarks on this foundation wall? The watermarks at the hot water supply, the discharge, the drainage pipe here. This looks like it was installed new. Like, is this a new thing? So let's ask the seller what happened here. They cut this and then they had a plumbing leak, or they had a plumbing leak and then they cut this and they installed that. So we want to know what is going on, and we want to make sure that this is the right fitting. That's the right fitting. This is not the right fitting. This is so we need a master plumber here to help us with these questions that we have. Okay, let's see. We don't have public water. Public water looks like this. You have a water meter, a shutoff valve, another shutoff valve, copper line, or some other kind of pipe coming in, and a jumper cable. So we have a main water shutoff valve. Every house has some kind of big valve that you turn off, whether it's on a well or a public water line, in order to turn off all the water to the house. And that's what a home inspector is going to find for you and identify for you, especially fuel storage tanks. Every heating equipment has to have a fuel shutoff valve. Even your hot water tank has a shutoff valve. We're going to flush all the toilets and run all the fixtures, make sure the hot and cold fixtures are installed correctly. This is the first floor bathroom, second floor bathroom. The floor, sorry, the toilet that's resting on the floor wobbles. When a toilet wobbles on the floor, the wax seal could be damaged. So we need to pull that toilet up, replace the wax seal, put it back down. Very easy to do. You could do it yourself. Homeowners can do it yourself. Get everything from Home Depot or Lowe's, or hire a plumber. It's going to be a few $100s. Lots of pictures. The bathroom receptacles need to have GFCI protection, ground fault circuit interrupter protection. It saves your life. Whenever you have a receptacle in the bathroom, it's near a sink, water and electricity don't mix. There's something in between, a safety device that protects you from getting shocked. And we test those as home inspectors. This one wasn't working. So this is the culprit. This is the problem. It's a $50 item, maybe $200 to replace. If you try it yourself, be careful. You can get shocked, but you should hire an electrician to replace the GFCI. It's very affordable. The electrician isn't. The device is affordable, and it does a big job. It protects you from getting shocked. So it's very important to test your GFCI receptacles. You should know where the test button is. It's kind of like the importance of testing your smoke detectors. You should know where the smoke detector test button is. And your AFCI breakers, we should know where that test button is in the electrical panel board. So there's a few things that homeowners need to test. Oh, here's the standards of practice for inspecting the electrical system. Oh, all the components in here. Let's go fast, okay? Service drop, got all that stuff. There's the meter, attachment point, all kinds of components and terminology being used, because when something is wrong, you want to identify it correctly. Just can't say the wire is over there. Nope. So all these cables, bonding and grounding is a big issue. The electrical panel and the receptacles and GFCIs and carbon monoxide. There's the panel board itself, the breakers, the wiring inside the panel. There's the fireplace. We saw one of them. There are actually two. They turn on. Looks good. Those switches there. Hasn't been maintained. If your fireplace looks like this, it hasn't been touched by a professional in a while. Get that HVAC system inspected and cleaned, and while they're there, they should be able to competent enough to do the fireplaces. Attic insulation and ventilation. Home inspectors, we go up in there and take a look around looking for active roof leaks. We can't walk around and see everything. There isn't any flooring. Down in the kitchen. Oh, I see. This was mechanical exhaust. So we're required to inspect the mechanical exhaust systems in the kitchen, bathroom, and laundry. And those mechanical exhaust systems should be discharging outside, even the kitchen. So this is the microwave in the kitchen, and it doesn't exhaust outside. It's very typical and common. But if you have sensitivity issues and indoor air quality sensitivities, you want your exhaust to go outside, just like the dryer. The dryer has a lot of lint. You want to exhaust that stuff outside. Dryer also has a lot of water, right? Controlling water and discharging it outside, right? So mechanical exhausts should go outside, and bathrooms should go outside as well. Insulation is very important. You don't want anything missing or inadequate. Doors, windows, and interior. We open and close a representative number of doors and windows. Can't see everything. Can't find every wall receptacle. Can't do every spindle of the railing. But we try to do as much as possible in the time that we have been allotted. So we'll take a look as much as we can in the interior. I'm just going fast now. I'm heading to the garage and the kitchen. Just giving you an idea of what I inspect. So there's the garage. Got 3 garage doors, 2 with openers. I'm going to check the safety devices, the laser eyes. There's 10 things, 10 steps, 10 items to check. A 10-step procedure for checking the garage door opener. And that's if you want to do it yourself as a homeowner, InterNACHI has that on a public page. This door is manually open and closed, and it's locked, and it's dented. So someone backed into it a couple places. The frame there is dented. The frame there is dented. All GFCI receptacles outside, bathroom, kitchen, garage, they all need to be GFCI protected. The structural components in the garage look good. The firewall looks good. The receptacles look good. I don't see any problems with the concrete floor. A little bit of efflorescence. I bet, that this is common. And what you can do is clean it off, brush it off, and see if it comes back. If it's coming back, that means you have a high water table or a water management problem on the outside, because remember, efflorescence means this concrete is wet. It's continually wet. It's always wet, right? So efflorescence is salt deposits left behind after capillary action has wicked that water through the concrete or masonry material and drawn the salts. The dirt has salt in it. The concrete itself has salt in it. And that salt is brought to the surface, and then the water evaporates and leaves behind the salty deposits. So it's an indication. Efflorescence is an indication of water, capillary action, osmosis moving through. The problem becomes when there's a lot of water being built up. So as efflorescence builds up, high amounts of efflorescence means a lot of salt being wicked up and a lot of pressure, water pressure. And it just won't stop. Keeps getting stronger and stronger. There's so much water pressure inside that capillary action movement through osmosis that it will exceed the strength, the PSI strength of the concrete itself, and will spall, crack, blow off. It'll actually explode. So capillary action, osmosis, salt, buildup, PSI exceeds, damage. Here, we are talking just an indication of something that's probably happened in the past. Not an alarmist, but home inspectors understand these things. Code inspectors don't, unless they're trained to. Because in a brand new home, you should not see any efflorescent stains. You shouldn't see any watermarks anywhere, really. So all along here, it's a typical area for efflorescence, because oftentimes the garage floor and foundation, right, are hit with water on the outside, because the last thing that gets finished in a new construction is the grass. They put the grass down. Now water is kind of controlled and managed, and the surface drainage is installed. Essentially, the drainage of the rain surface water is controlled by the yard, the grass, the landscaping. But up until then, a lot of things just get wet. That's why we see mud in the basement, right? Mud in the basement. Well, the grass wasn't installed, and water came through maybe the window of the basement, or maybe there's an open gap in the pipe that wasn't sealed. Something like that. This is the laundry room. Got an electric dryer. I love those pipes, supply pipes, pressure tested pipes. The dryer exhausts outside. I love to see a tray, water catch leak tray underneath the clothes washer. In the kitchen, I like to finish my inspection. In the kitchen, I'll run hot and cold water at the sink. I'll look for plumbing leaks. Don't know what this is. I bet this has something to do with that thing that we saw down in the basement. Remember, the hot was coming up, had a leak. The drainage pipe was installed. This is different. What is going on here? Something leaked, or something wasn't installed right, or something happened with this kitchen sink a while back. This has been cut off and capped. There's a cap right here, so you have to pay attention to that. If it's leaking or it smells, that's not a good cap. So you twist it and it expands, right? If you can pull on that and pops off, that's no good. That's sewer gases coming in. So something's going on here. The kitchen maybe was renovated. I don't know. It's not my job. I'm not here to diagnose everything that I see. I am here to help educate and understand what is going on. And sometimes it starts with just a question. What happened here? All receptacles in the kitchen have to have GFCI protection. So we're going to test that, test that. I'm going to run a short cycle in the dishwasher, turn on the range and the oven and the microwave, it vents across, and my little microwave detector, that works. And that was a home inspection. Whew. That was a lot. And we didn't even look at the report. I have a 56-page inspection report that we could review, but we're not going to. We started with some common questions about home inspections. Then we talked about how home inspectors influence the home maintenance and improvement and renovation industry. We influence it with about $32 billion every year. And lastly, we conducted a home inspection. A couple of links I want to leave with you. We started off with InterNACHI.org. That's the International Association of Certified Home Inspectors, where you can find all kinds of information. And InterNACHI.org/contractor. All kinds of information for contractors, building officials, building departments, code inspectors, code enforcement officers, ICC certified individuals, contractors, general contractors. That's all at InterNACHI.org/contractor. And I want to thank you. I don't see any more questions or chats. So thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. That was a lot of information. If you ever need to contact me, I'm Ben Gromyko from InterNACHI, and that's my email address, ben@internachi.org. And feel free to reach out to me why code inspectors and contractors should be partners with home inspectors. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. Thanks for being here. See you in the next webinar. Bye.